Whoops. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'd like to talk to you about. Actually, I just want to say first, this is probably the best day in the best place I could possibly imagine to give this talk. All the stuff this morning is a great precursor to all this, because I want to talk to you about new business models, the need for new business models in real estate. Now, the reason for the new business models in real estate is that all of this technology is fundamentally changing the nature of demand. And because the nature of demand is changing, supply is going to have to change as well. And supply is going to need different business models to cater for the new world of the new type of demands that are coming on. And I think most of the new business models and most of the successful companies over the next number of years are going to be based around this emerging notion of space as a service. Now, the reason for that is because fundamentally, the real estate business is no longer about real estate, or at least it soon won't be. Now, the reason for that is because of the twin trends of the move from products to services and ownership to access. Increasingly, we're becoming an almost post-consumer world where we're much less interested in accumulating more stuff and much more interested in being presented with experiences, services, and ephemeral pleasures. So you have Spotify for music, you have Uber for cars, you have Airbnb for hotels, on-demand this, on-demand that. Why buy something that you either don't use very often, is constantly changing, or you can't afford it anyway? Rent what you need when you need it. Now, that's happening in all the rest of the world. It's going to happen in real estate as well. Real estate is going to move to a space as a service model where you just purchase what you need when you need it. And it's not only in places like this where you can purchase for an hour or a week or whatever. It's going to be across every type of tenure, because the nature of space is going to change where you can have access to all the services and the spaces that you need to be able to use your space as productively as possible. Now, there's 5 mega trends that are leading on all this. One way or another, these 5 are affecting the complete nature of demand. So first of all, you have mobility. Everyone has a mobile phone, and most importantly, today, more people use a mobile phone as their primary method of accessing the internet than any other device. If you look at the charts over the last 5 years, mobile, in terms of the first tool you use to access the internet, has gone like that. Desktop has gone like that. Strict correlation, so you have to think mobile first. Connectivity, ubiquitous connectivity. This place has got fantastic connectivity. It's, 100 megabit Wi-Fi. It's very, very pleasing. But connectivity is everywhere. So we have a supercomputer in our pocket, which is permanently connected at high speed, and then the cloud comes in, because all our data and all our applications and everything is moving to the cloud. So we've got a supercomputer that's always connected to all our information. Then you have the Internet of Things, which is bringing a whole new level of data and information, surfacing it, that we can use. Essentially, it's allowing the built environment to talk back to us. Every sensor is a new business model. And then you have artificial intelligence and robotics, which is actually far and away the most important technology probably over the next 10 years or so. And all of that already is leading to this. This is from McKinsey's in January this year. Overall, we estimate that 49% of the activities that people are paid to do in the global economy have the potential to be automated by adapting currently demonstrated technology. Now, the important thing here is you need to stop thinking about, are all our jobs going to go? No, your jobs are not going to go. But a huge number of the tasks you do within your job are going to go. And why haven't we automated 49% of the activities we do today? Well, we just need to catch up. The technology is there to do it. Now, the reason for this, just to get a little bit geeky, is the reason artificial intelligence is such an important thing is because it's suddenly got to a point where it's growing super exponentially. This is quite an interesting graph. The bottom line there, that's effectively Moore's law. You know, everyone knows Moore's law that computing power doubles every 2 years, and it's worked for 50 years, which is why we've got a 1980 supercomputer in our pocket. The other line, which is going absolutely nuts, is for GPUs. Now, GPUs are the different types of processors that were originally used in gaming machines, but it just happens by coincidence that they're exactly the type of processor you need for artificial intelligence. So the power is just going absolutely insane, and that's why this stuff is moving so very, very fast. This is why in computer vision, face recognition, this has gone from useless to a utility in a matter of a few years. 2010, 28% error rates in face recognition, so effectively useless, down to in 2015, and so obviously we're 2 years on, is now better than humans. So your computer can see incredibly well. So does that give us human-machine parity? Well, no, because this computer can recognize 200,000 images simultaneously. So it's as good as you, but much better than you. Same applies with speech recognition. Gain's gone from useless to utility in just a few years. This is why that GPU graph is so important. 2013, 23% error rate. 2017 is now less than 5%, and 5% is the human level. A matter of a few years, which is why voice is becoming one of the new search interfaces. Amazon's Alexa here. It's going to be increasingly common to just talk to our machines. The bottom line of this is that computers can see as well as us, they can hear as well as us, and they can read as well as us. And that has implications. And that has implications that will change the nature of demand. Because the nature of work itself is changing. Everyone talks about, oh, the way we work is changing. It's not that that's important. It's the work we do that is changing, which is really important. So you're going from anything which is structured, repeatable, or predictable, which is that 49% of tasks that people do, can be automated and will be automated. So effectively, in terms of doing work, we do not need an office in the same way that we do not need a shop to go shopping. So if you don't need these things, what are we for? Well, structured, repeatable, predictable will be automated, but that's old work. New work is human work. We're very, very lucky. What computers are really good at, we're rubbish at, and what we're really good at, computers are rubbish at. What we're really good at, what humans are really good at, is design, imagination, inspiration, creation, empathizing, intuition, innovation, collaboration, and most importantly, probably social intelligence. These are all great skills that humans have that computers don't. Which means, in my mind, the office is dead. Long live the Imaginarium, because we need offices and spaces to do different things. We need spaces that will catalyze the human skills. There'll be places that provide us with the services to do what humans are good at in a way that's never before been possible. And this sort of place is an exemplar. It's a canary in a coal mine, this sort of place. Then you have the changing nature of work. This is from a Google report last year called Workplace 2020, when they did a big survey of customers of what percentage of a workforce would be working flexibly in the next couple of years. What they actually found was the bigger the company, the more flexible. So they found I think they actually said 2018, by 2018, of companies that employ more than 6,000 people, those companies expected 60% of their workforce to be working flexibly in one way or another. So what you have is a barbell economy as well. These are the stats for the UK. I doubt they're very much different here. 48% of people work for companies that employ less than 50 people. 40% work for companies that employ more than 250 people. And not very many people work for a company that employs between 50 and 250. So what you're going to get in this flexible world, you'll get that 40% that are above 250, have the scale, the money, the inclination to build spaces as a service using their own spaces. All that 48%, For instance, in the City of London, 50% of all occupiable units in the City of London are less than 5,000 square feet. They're not going to be able to provide these types of services themselves. So I think you're going to end up with what I call the 6 modalities of occupation. So instead of the traditional thing, oh, I've got 1,000 staff, I need a 100,000 square foot building, just give me a 100,000 square foot building. You're going to get maybe companies saying, well, actually, we'll take 50%, 50,000 long term, then we take some short term, then we take some membership, some third spaces, clients, and home. Then you've got to think about, we're talking about automated vehicles earlier. Richard Florida did this thing in creative class in 2002, which was all about the creative class means of the cities of the future. But in 2017, his new book, they're saying the city has a crisis of gentrification, affordability, segregation, and inequality. So maybe with automated vehicles, we might be living somewhere else. So, but none of this is very changed. Change is the only constant in life. That's Heraclitus in circa 500 BC. Now, all of that is going to change the nature of supply because we have people who prefer services over products, don't need to go to an office to work, are used to on-demand services, and are over-connected with vast computing power in their pocket. So when you have a workforce like that, what do they need? They need space when and where they need it. They need space that catalyzes high-level human skills. They need space that removes friction, which makes everything they need to do really easy. And they need space that enables discovery, which is where they have access to everything they need when they need it. That is space. That's space that is a service. So where does this lead? It leads for landlords are going to move from being rent collectors to service providers. Very, very difficult. One thing, sending a rent demand to someone four times a year to providing a service for someone every single day. Valuations. This is tricky, but valuations have typically been thought of, well, it's a bond, isn't it? But what happens if half the world doesn't have a lease? There is no bond. It's a service business. Completely changes valuations. Physical space alone is dumb. A digital layer makes it smart. It's all this technology that we've been hearing about today, layered on top of physical assets that, as I say, allows the built environment to talk back to us. When we start understanding not only how our buildings work in an incredibly granular level, but also how do people use our buildings, we're going to end up with much, much better buildings. So your user experience of your building is going to become your brand. And it's actually the brand which is going to become the value. It's not the building, it's the user experience for everyone that comes into your building. Now, great user experiences need great data, they need great tech, and they need great humans. It's very, very important. Only 2 out of 3 is bad. Where does this lead? Property managers version 2. I think property management companies have the biggest opportunity they've ever had because someone has to create that user experience. And if that user experience is the value, who's in the best position to do it? Property management companies. So if they become curators of the user experience, they go way, way up the value chain. So where does all this lead? Fundamentally, we're talking about huge cultural change. Really, really huge cultural change. Just going from a rent collector to service provider is going to do for a lot of big property companies because they're not going to be able to do it. It's a really huge cultural change. This is not going to be easy. It really is not going to be easy, but space as a service definitely is the future of real estate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.